What are some of the secrets to a long-lasting relationship? Part 3. I started this series because I'm coming up to my 20th wedding anniversary in October, and of course I'm looking forward to it, but I also want to take the opportunity to look back to what I think is making our marriage work. Because I think that a lot of people these days are struggling with relationships, and when I just look at myself, I think being in a relationship is one of the most difficult things, most challenging things that I have ever done in my life. Because nobody prepares you. I mean, there's no course in school that you can take called The Success Secrets of a Lasting Relationship. No, in fact, the most important things that we need, like compassion, the ability to be proactive and develop critical thinking, are not taught in school. So we need to figure it out themselves. And how do we usually do that? Well, we do that by modeling people that are close to us and that we respect. Usually our parents, and my parents did not give me the best of examples. I mean, they got divorced when I was 17 years old. And then my dad remarried, my mom remarried and got divorced again. So I didn't want to look at them for a great example. So I had to kind of reinvent the wheel myself. Wasn't that successful. My first marriage lasted about 12 and a half years. After that, I moved from the Netherlands to the United States because I was done with it all. I wanted a clean slate, a fresh start. My second marriage lasted for a little over a year. Then that ended in divorce, and now I'm almost at 20 years of my third marriage. So I'm not saying here that I know it all or that I'm some kind of a relationship therapist, which I'm not, but I'm more of an experience expert, if you like that term. I can share some of my experiences, some of the things that I discovered that I think make our marriage work, and maybe this is helpful to you too. But regard whatever I say as kind of a dish at the Las Vegas buffet or at one of those wonderful cruise ships where the choices are tremendous, but you don't have to eat everything. You don't have to like everything that I'm saying or I'm going to share with you. So one of the things that I think is making my current marriage work is that we have gone through some SHIT together. In fact, a lot. Our marriage has been tested, has been tried over and over again. But so many times when I look back in those 20 years, we could have been defeated as a couple. And I'm sure that some people were rooting for us to be no longer together. I'm sure my ex-wife would have loved that, to see me end up by myself in misery, because she told me that she wouldn't stop until I was divorced, by myself, destitute, and utterly unhappy. Well, I'm still here. I'm still happily married. She isn't, by the way. But you got to go through some serious setbacks, I think. It's like a muscle. A marriage is like a muscle. A long-term relationship is like a muscle. You need to use it, you need to strengthen it. And for things to be strengthened, you need some resistance. So every time something came on our plate that we did not like, that was not positive, we faced it head on and say, you are going to make us stronger. You're not going to defeat us. Through this opportunity, we use it as a way to get to know ourselves and to get to know each other, knowing that we have each other's backs no matter what, no matter when, no matter how. This basic trust in one another. You know, let me give you a few examples of the things that we had to go through, not to make you pity me or anything like that, or to make myself look better than I am, because I have no reason to do that. But what do I mean when I say that we have been tested? Well, in the first year of my wife being together, my wife and I being together, she lost the most important person in her life, namely her mother, to a horrendous cancer. And seeing my wife suffer as she was assisting her mother in the process of trying to regain health, losing that battle with cancer, and eventually dying from it. It was hard. It was really hard to see my wife suffer, trying to be strong for her mother and her dad, while she felt weak inside and eaten up and by guilt and fear of losing her mom. It was horrendous. But I somehow managed to be strong enough to be there for her and provide that shoulder for her to lean on and be to that soft spot to land on. And that was one of the first big tests for us, her mom passing. Then she had to deal with loss herself as she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, my wife was, after many, many years of all kinds of vague symptoms that nobody could pinpoint. They finally diagnosed her with multiple sclerosis, which meant that there were a lot of things that she could no longer do. I mean, she already knew that she was weakening and that she had to fight a body that was fighting itself. But helping someone to come to terms with a disease that might debilitate them severely. My wife was always a very active and energetic person. She loved to hike and bike and ski, and there were so many things she could no longer do. So to see her being reduced to a shell of herself, trying out new medications, hoping that, yes, this one is going to work, this one's going to work, and they made her even worse. Eventually, she found a medication that was helping her and is still helping her, and now she can do pretty much anything that any healthy person can do. It's amazing when people see her, they don't realize that she has multiple sclerosis, but that was a long way, a long road. So we had to deal with a loss of health on her part as well. As she was dealing with those symptoms, we had to go through a horrendous custody battle with my ex, the mother of my daughter, fighting a court system that is biased against men. Me being a foreigner, not knowing how to navigate the system, the courts, me not being able to present myself well, I think. My wife was always there. I mean, she had not signed up for that. She had not signed up for my narcissistic ex. But she was there for me when we got crushed by the courts and ended up losing my daughter most of the time to her mother. I mean, I could do separate videos about each of the things that I'm bringing up, but, I don't wish it upon my worst enemy to go through the court system and fight a custody battle. At age 4, my daughter was diagnosed with a humongous brain tumor, the size of a nectarine, that could have ended her life. She was treated at CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and she survived. But my gosh, that poor 4-year-old girl, having to explain the fact that she might not survive and what was going on with her. My mom and father passed away while I was in the United States, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was not able to go back to Holland and help them and help my sister help them. And then my wife was a councillor in a borough, which made her not very popular because she had to make decisions like raising taxes that people didn't like and appreciate. So they let us have it on social media and during meetings. She was put under pressure and being ridiculed and things like that. So that caused a lot of stress. Then I had a stroke. I almost died twice while they're trying to save me on the operation table. And it took me a few years to get back on my feet, to be able to speak and walk again. It was crazy. But my wife was there every step of the way. Then my wife's father, in his 70s, was presented with divorce papers, and he was kicked out of his house. And then we took him in for many years until he passed away. So it may seem ideal to some people. It's not always great to have to deal with your father-in-law all the time and have no privacy. Then we had to go through COVID, and we moved to a different state where we didn't know anybody. We had to start from scratch in terms of building a whole social network again. But as they say, the best students get the most challenging tasks. So I think that we're pretty good students. So yeah. What strengthens a marriage is that you have to go through some serious setbacks together and come back on the other end much stronger, even much more in love, more dedicated and committed. I don't wish it upon anyone, but I think a secret to a good relationship that lasts long is that you have to be able to go through setbacks and some SHIT together. See you next time.